Got it. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to convene the November 2023 Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. Mrs. Picone, are there any public speakers? Just one?
Speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware of the clock in the front of the room and the warning light you will see reminding you that you have 30 seconds left to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Jason Anthony. Following will be Matthew Bukes Highland, followed by Michael Ring.
See ya. Uh, let's talk about safety, shall we? We know that the temperatures are dropping like crazy. It is good to have safety announcements in our bridges and tunnels, because especially when snow falls, anything could happen. And Mother Nature this year around is acting a little bit bizarre. We could say that. It is very good, Kathy, that we could put any type of safety announcements on our bridges and tunnels in our mobile app that, let's say, drivers could be aware how the weather is going to be, if there's going to be any speed restrictions and any of that nature. But other than that, I'll use the rest of my time. Happy holidays.
Thank you. The next speaker is Matthew Bukes Highland, joining us virtually, followed by Michael Ring.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman Mack, Madam President, and Commissioners. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. I want to speak today about congested pricing, which is about to go into effect very soon. I would suggest that we may consider putting maybe on the Cross Bronx Expressway and maybe even the Bruckner Expressway. That's always congested. And I had a great time riding on the Verrazano Bridge to visit a family friend in Staten Island. I could use the Easy Pass from your facility all the way down to the Central Florida Expressway or even the Florida Turnpike. That's all I'm going to have to say for this month. So thank you. God bless you. Have a great day. Ms. Piscone, over to you, madam.
Thank you. The next speaker is Michael Ring, followed by Lita Dupree, joining virtually.
Hi, I didn't think I was going to be speaking to the Bridge and Tunnels but I got here early, and I have the opportunity to say thank you to you guys because for the 26th time I ran the New York City Marathon, and I get to start early because I'm an athlete with a disability, and the only people cheering on the Verrazano Bridge, it says Bridges and Tunnels, and it's kind of nice to say thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alita Dupree, followed by Murray Bowden.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair David Mack. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her with Team Folds. Need my clock here. I take my bridges and tunnels very seriously, and they're very important to me. And I mentioned about my trip over the RFK Bridge when I was in New York. How do we build the best bridges and tunnels? So in looking at the operations report, things are looking good. Traffic is good. And our collection rate is around 95%, which is good. It's important to remember that the uncollected revenue, it's not revenue denied, it's revenue delayed. So we want to continue working on our collections. It's very important to emphasize that operating a vehicle on a public highway is a privilege, not a right. So the public needs to know that. But thank you to those who are paying into the system. How do we get people interested in bridges and tunnels? If I'm staying in New Jersey, which I usually do, I'm going through the Port Authority facilities, such as the Lincoln. But it's easy to forget about bridges and tunnels in New York City when you don't have a car, because we have so many of the subway connections. But taking the M60 bus is a way to participate in bridges and tunnels going over the RFK. So the bridges and tunnels are important in helping to keep our bus network moving between the boroughs. So we want to make sure that we are keeping these bridges and tunnels safe and well maintained. And it looks like our credit rating is pretty good. Bridges and tunnels can play a part in congestion. And hopefully we can get congestion pricing turned on sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you. The next and final speaker is Murray Bowden.
Good morning. Morning, Kathy. Morning, Dave. I ran my first marathon 39 years ago when I was 51. Gave it up after a while. This is a continuation of my discussion about safety. We have to deal with distracted and aggressive drivers in a way that we haven't had to deal with them before. We have to give the drivers information well in advance than rather at the intersection where they change. That manual uniform traffic control devices that was written 50 years ago, and I was part of the team that corrected it over the years, has to be thrown away completely and start from scratch. The arrows have to point up and in the direction you go in. Traffic has to be separated earlier and not at the intersection. All you're doing is because it's legal to cross the gore, stop it with a double white line or a double yellow line. The rules that were written 30, 40 years ago don't work today. How do you change it? New York City has done it by engineering judgment. You do not have to follow the manual as written. I've been writing to have it not issued, but issued in new electronic form. It has to be uniform across all states. There can be no local option. We're a country that goes all over. There cannot be a rule in one place that's not the same as a rule in everywhere. So you got your work cut out for you. I had a good teacher taught me how to make consistency safer. Your job is to follow it up. I can't do it anymore. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes the public comment.
Thank you, Rose. Murray, don't give up. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October Bridges and Tunnels meeting?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Any questions on the minutes? Great. President Sheridan, are there any changes to the work plan?
Good morning, Chair Mack. There are no changes to the work plan.
Very good. Okay, President.
Thanks. So the 52nd running of the TCS New York City Marathon kicked off on Sunday, November 5th, from its traditional starting line at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. More than 50,000 participants, along with a sea of event organizers and officials, convened for the race. I'm pleased to report our employees' collective efforts allowed for a smooth, executed event at the start, which showcased our facility to a worldwide audience. You'll hear more about those efforts shortly from our department heads. This was my first marathon experience, and it was an honor to represent the MTA, along with other city officials, event sponsors, and the New York Roadrunners at the Blue Line painting ceremony on November 1st. I had the additional thrill of being offered the privilege of firing the cannon to signal the start of one of the waves of the runners on event Sunday, and was very fortunate to have earplugs on hand. Speaking of the runners, I applaud our own B&T and MTA colleagues who rose early to meet the challenge to run across New York City. Congratulations to all on this impressive achievement. Now I'll turn it over to Rich Hildebrand, Vice President and Chief of Operations, to kick off a review of our annual marathon preparation and execution.
Thank you, Kathy, and good morning, everyone. For operations, planning for the 2023 New York City Marathon began right after the 2022 event ended. Following any major event or incident, B&T holds an after-action meeting, also known as a hot wash, to discuss best practices and lessons learned. Items to address are shared in an after-action report with event organizers and regional partners with the intent to improve upon the event for next year. In the lead-up to race day, B&T participated in a citywide tabletop exercise hosted by the New York City Police Department's Chief of Department at One Police Plaza. This multi-scenario drill included event organizers along with city, state, and federal stakeholders. Planning and preparation for an event of this magnitude continues throughout the year. B&T's Emergency Management and Planning section distributes an event action plan detailing all functions to be performed on Marathon Sunday and in the preceding days. The plan includes directives on facility preparation to accommodate foot traffic and race equipment, how the arrival of nearly 52,000 participants onto Staten Island would be managed efficiently and safely, how a full closure of the bridge and surrounding roadways to vehicular traffic would be implemented and messaged to customers, and how overall event safety and security would be maintained, all while working in concert with New York Roadrunners and our regional partners. It was a Herculean effort to ensure that the facility was ready before the official start. The priority after the final runner had cleared the bridge was to ensure the timely return to normal operations. Once B&T confirmed live traffic on both levels in both directions had resumed, the incident commander called the after-action meeting to order, and the entire process began once again as the 2024 TCS New York City Marathon planning season kicked off. I would like to thank my leadership partners here today for their unending support, all of our regional partners for their unwavering cooperation, and each and every member of the B&T workforce for all they do every day, not only on New York City Marathon Sunday. And unless there are any questions, I'll now turn it over to Don Look, Vice President and Chief Security.
Thank you, Rich. Good morning. Leading up to the marathon, the Internal Security Department begins preparations for a range of activities and tasks. We coordinate with external agencies to evaluate and assess the current threat environment. This helps us to identify the security measures we recommend and the implementation of the participants for the protection of our participants and our infrastructure. Internal security coordinates and conducts several security walkthroughs to systematically restrict access to critical areas, remove equipment and materials from contractor areas, and culminates in a contractor closeout before the marathon. Internal security also ensures security camera coverage and equipment, such as access control and radiation detection, are optimized throughout the event. Throughout our event, ISD maintains vigilance through our electronic security system, which is enhanced for situational awareness. In addition, we deploy our investigative ground team for rapid response as necessary. And unless there are any questions, I now turn it over to Eric Osnes, Vice President of Safety and Health.
Thank you, Don. Transforming the Verrazano Narrows Bridge from a major vehicular crossing into a venue capable of hosting more than 50,000 individuals on foot is an undertaking. Safety concerns during the pre-inspection phase are paramount, with particular focus on adapting the roadway surfaces to ensure the utmost safety for participants. The bridge's surface needs modification to become runner-friendly, with the elimination of any uneven pavement or obstacles that may pose tripping hazards. Furthermore, ensuring proper reflective gear is worn by employees during pre-inspection and the event is essential. Staff on site must be equipped with high visibility clothing, which becomes especially important when early morning visibility may be compromised prior to the marathon start. Implementing these safety measures during the pre-inspection phase not only safeguards the runners, but also enhances the overall experience of the marathon, making it safer for all involved. Temporary converting the Staten Island Plaza into a starting point also requires a comprehensive assessment of security and crowd control measures. Accommodating the flow of runners in successive waves across the bridge poses unique challenges. Proper barriers, designated entry and exit points, and well-experienced B&T personnel are necessary to ensure the safety of participants and on-site spectators. I will now turn over to Charlie Passarella, our Vice President of Maintenance and Operations, to give us more detail on surface preparation and what it takes to host an event free of recognized hazards.
Thank you, Eric, and good morning, everyone. Maintenance and operations teamed up late Saturday night to prepare the bridge for the Staten Island starting point on Sunday. The first order of business was for crews to close. The first order of business was for crews to close all roadways to vehicular traffic leading to the upper level in both directions. This was accomplished by setting up maintenance and protection of traffic at each location. Closures were established utilizing backup trucks outfitted with crash attenuators as well as cone lines. The closures allow for the New York Roadrunners Club event organizers to safely begin their large-scale setup on a toll plaza and for our maintenance teams to prep the roadways. Bridge and tunnel maintainers then began a series of laborious tasks, running electrical power and cables for the organizers to establish their communication systems, clearing the roadways, covering the bridge's roadway joints, and installing signage for mile markers and participant drop-off locations. Our sweeper trucks covered more than 30 miles of roadway that includes all lanes of the upper and lower levels, as you can see in the photo. The next step was to lay down and secure more than 100 sheets of masonite boards and mats over the roadway finger joints for the safety of crossing runners. Maintenance crews then established closures for all roadways leading to the lower level, prohibiting all vehicular traffic to the facility. The bridge was now completely closed and ready to receive the marathon participants. After the final runner has safely crossed our facility, maintenance crews immediately start the cleanup process, which includes assisting New York City Sanitation with clearing the discarded clothing from the bridge, deactivating temporary POW setups, and pulling up the masonite sheets from the joints. After one final sweep of all roadways, Facility Command is notified that all duties for reopening have been completed. Closures are lifted and the bridge is restored to vehicular traffic and to our customers. Thank you, and unless there are any questions, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Charlie, and to all of our employees who work so hard to ensure a successful event each year. Do we have any questions on the marathon? Commissioner Glucksman.
How did you do, Rich?
Okay, I had a good run. Thank you.
Great. Lastly, there are 3 procurements this month. Lynn Gore, Deputy Chief Procurement Officer, will present these actions.
Thank you. Procurements start on page 46 of the committee book. MTA Bridges and Tunnels has 3 procurement actions being brought to the Bridges and Tunnel Committee for approval this month. There are no non-competitive procurements or ratifications. There are 3 competitive contracts in a total amount of $10 million. MTA B&T requests board approval to award 3 competitively solicited personal service contracts to 1. Henderson, Durham, and Richardson Architecture and Engineering, Atkins, PA, PC, and 3. Gannick Fleming Engineering and Architectural, PC, to provide miscellaneous toll collection consultant support services on an as-needed basis in the aggregated not-to-exceed amount of $10 million over a period of 5 years. Unless there are questions, these procurement actions are described in the staff summaries in the committee book. I submit these procurement actions to the committee for approval.
Can I have an action, a motion rather, approve these procurements? Second? Second. All in favor? Great. Any questions?
Hi, sorry, Chair. So my question is regarding, and maybe Allison, you can remind me what's happening here. So this is related to the back office systems. Where are we on the notion of a consolidated back office in BNT related to like New York Easy Pass and let's see. I think we were looking at, right, once upon a time, we were looking at some kind of consolidated back office with New York State Port Authority. Can you just remind me where we are on that?
Yeah.
And that's already
We've
approved.
actually had a consolidated back office for Easy Pass and now tolls by mail for quite a long time.
Right.
We did do a new procurement.
That's it. That is the new
Yes,
procurement.
and
I'm
that is
interested.
underway. It's
Okay.
already in process.
It's already
and-
in process means that it was let and
Yes.
you're evaluating the firms right now.
It's
Okay.
actually already been, awarded. There
Okay.
are, the contractors are already working on
Okay.
the upgrades and the
And
new
so
one.
this procurement is supporting the operations of just back office in general?
It's supporting, actually, do you wanna answer
It's,
that?
it's supporting the ORT system, and it touches on the back office to a limited
Okay.
extent.
Okay, thank you, yes. And I think my mind just blanked about where we were on that back office. And I know it was consolidated, but yes, we did do the new procurement. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Any other questions on the procurement or any other B&T questions?
Well, okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Okay. Yeah, motion passed. Thank you all.